Shall we begin? Let's begin now.
Yeah, YouTube friends, Ben Ochart here. Thank you for tuning in. Over 200 comments already in one day on that video about the baloney. The baloney video on media, talking about media. Great response, probably the best activity I've ever seen from the Convo Gang. You folks are awesome, and it's not just comments, not just random comments and little hellos and I'm first and stuff. I'm talking about education. There's comments in there that are educating. I posted the video at the ben.o.cichlid Facebook page with a comment about how this is. Read the comments. I mean, forget about the video. Just read the comments. What you folks said under that video, it's like a course. You could make a course on filtration off of your comments. So I went ahead to expand on that theme. I've gone ahead and I've tapped somebody who I respect very, very highly in the hobby. I've seen him speak live down in Costa Mesa. He's taken tremendous numbers of classes. He's very educated in the subjects, runs a fish store, and has his own massive fish room, and very, very popular on YouTube. You know him. I want to find out from Cory at the Aquarium Co-op. Cory, chime in. What are your thoughts on this whole idea of filtration media? Are we paying too much? Do we need it? Do we need 100,000 square feet? 100,000 square feet of room for our beneficial bacteria. Cory, what have you got to say, buddy? And I really appreciate you chiming in.
Hello, I wanted to chime in on, do we need more bacteria? Are we buying too expensive of filter media? What is all this about? Because it comes up so often. Now, we definitely need some bacteria in our aquariums to keep our fish alive. Even that might not even be a true statement, but for the most part, that's a true statement. How much is open for a lot of debate, and how much bacteria can this hold versus that hold? I think the inherent problem we have is no one knows how much bacteria we need. There's no measurable unit. So I can't tell you, you need 1,000 bacterias, and oh, this water bottle holds 12 of them. No one's got these metrics. We can do surface area. We can say, well, the surface area of this water bottle has X. We can pick a different thing up and go, oh, this sheet of paper has X, right? But we still don't even know how much we need. So that's one of the biggest problems right there. So we tend to focus on, well, if I have no idea to know how many I'll ever need, the more I have, the less likely I am to run out. And that's a true statement also. But over the years, I feel like we've continually gone down this road, and we know as marketers, myself included, I market to a lot of people, that if we, if I tell you, well, this water bottle it can hold 300 times the leading water bottle of water. You're like, whoa, okay, well, this is a good water bottle. Well, then what if I grab this water bottle right here? This one only holds 24 ounces. This one holds 32 ounces. Clearly, this one's better than this one. The reality is, in my normal day, they all work the same because I might only be drinking 16 ounces of water every few hours, and then it's warm. Ugh, I gotta dump it out and get cold water, right? So whether I'm using a 32-ounce bottle or a 24-ounce bottle is kind of irrelevant. We have that happen in our aquariums all the time. We might have the capacity of a water bottle that's going to hold 55 gallons of water, but we're only using 3 gallons of it. Therefore, we've got way more than we need. And so, I'm going to bring in some brand names here, and I don't want us to necessarily badmouth that brand versus another brand. Every brand's job is promote stuff and sell it, myself included. So you've got CChem with, let's say, Matrix, very popular, was very popular, still is very popular, has a very high surface area, great, expensive. It's pumice stone. They'll fight you to death on that, but when you look under a microscope, it is the same thing. But it will grow a lot of bacteria in theory. It's got very high surface area, But what we find is that in use, it's actually not that good. And what does that mean? Well, let's imagine that we had instead of this water bottle, I had a Ziploc baggie, and it also held 32 ounces of water. Which one do you want to drink water out of each day? Probably the water bottle, right? Same thing goes on in our aquarium with bacteria. When you have bacteria that need to grow on things, they have preferences. And with CChem Matrix, the surface area is so high and the pores are so small and it seems so good, but it's actually smaller than where the bacteria can live. And so, therefore, it's kind of like we're trying to fit something, a square piece of bacteria into a round hole. It just doesn't fit there. So that's one problem. Then you've got things like bioballs and sponges and gravel and wood and all the things in your aquarium that hold bacteria. They all do it to differing degrees. But how much do we need? We don't know. How many ounces of water do I need every day? I don't know. At least with water, we know, we should be having 64. How do I know? Because this water bottle company is super smart and they say, drink 32 ounces, refill it, drink 32 ounces. That's what they recommend. We don't have that with our bacteria, and that is the problem. And so, yes, there are lots of scientific centers like the Texas Stock Center. They run their aquariums with only a 1/3 of the bottom of the aquarium covered in gravel, one piece of gravel thick, and an air stone, and that handles what they're doing. Then you've got a tank like me behind. I know that I have a 6-foot sump under there filled with 70 bags of bio rings. It's got an undergravel filter with crushed coral above that, so it can buffer the water, but also grow bacteria. It's got 8-foot by 4-foot footprint of sand in there, and all of that has some bacteria. Now, it is way, way, way overkill for what I have in there right now, these goldfish. Before, I had tons of big clown loaches, tons of tiger barbs, and when I say tons, 300 plus of like tiger barbs, 100 plus of clown loaches, and all these other fish. And the amount of food that I would feed in there, routinely a pound of food, every day or every other day, at least 8 ounces every day for sure. These guys, they might be getting like an ounce of food every day, very minimal, but it doesn't make sense for me to get rid of it because I needed it. But when I did have that very high stocking load, I never experienced ammonia or any ill effects anyway. And that's the problem we lead to. We don't know how much bacteria we need. So with 70 bags of bio rings, maybe I only needed 4. Maybe I didn't need any. But I put 70 in there because that's what filled that sump and it looks good. I felt good about it. And that is a big game of aquatics. If people feel good about it, it makes money. There's no doubt about that. If I look at a pet, it's happy, I'm happy. If I look and I go, ooh, look how big that plant is, I'm happy. Look how good my aquarium looks, I'm happy. We're selling happiness. It's a luxury hobby. And so if you are happier because your car goes faster, then we're going to sell you some performance parts, right? It's the classic thing of, I'm buying a Corvette. Why? So I can drive to work and back every day in style, not because you can do it fast because you're stuck in traffic. Same thing's going on in our aquariums, and I just believe that we're overhyping it a lot of times. Normal sponge filters, even just gravel, depending on your setup, can work. Almost anything can work. I knew a guy, a store owner, that ran a store where the sumps were filled with gym socks. When I was a new hobbyist, I thought that guy was insane, and he didn't know what he was doing. Now, fast forward 15 years later, I realized that guy's a genius, and he knew exactly what he was doing. We know if you don't wash your socks, they grow a bunch of bacteria, and then your feet get bacteria. That's horrible. Guess what gym socks do in an aquarium in a sump? If you don't wash them, they get a bunch of bacteria, and that's a good thing in our aquarium. Oh, wait a second, right? And so that's where anything will grow bacteria. We don't know how much we need. That's the biggest problem. And in my years of doing this, owning a store, owning fish rooms, all of that, I could only ever think of one time where I had an aquarium that was cycled and it had ammonia problems. And it wasn't an aquarium, they were ponds. They were koi ponds that we had at the front of our store that had 100 plus koi in them all the time. We changed 100% of the water, and the way we had to feed them, we would get ammonia. We couldn't get enough filtration. That being said, every aquarium, and I've worked at stores that managed over 300. I had a maintenance business. I have my own fish room. At one point at 70 to 100 aquariums. Now we're down to 12, 15. a store with 100 aquariums, all of those instances, never once had an aquarium that wasn't just brand new set up actually run into a point where I didn't have enough biological filtration or bacteria. So being that I can never even get to, well, how much do I need? That's the crux of the problem, I believe. And we like to play on your heartstrings. You don't want to kill your fish. Do you want to see all those die? You need more bio rings. You need more bio balls. You need more spongefuls. You need. Because when I say you need, it's actually I need. I need your money. And that is the truth of the industry right now, is we have to keep selling stuff. We have to keep making money to stay in business. And there's some companies that all they do is filtration. So they really got to push it, right? And so it is a true fact. We all need bacteria. But how much do we need? That's what we don't know. Let's focus the conversation on trying to identify bacteria loads in tanks versus fish tank loads. You know, a fish tank that's got a bunch of goldfish is much different than Oscars, or much different than a planet tank with a bunch of tetras, or one giant pacu. They're all different. Water changes schedules, all that. When you go to fish farms, they're way more different. Some of them have crazy high-end filtration systems. Some don't have filtration at all. They're both cranking out millions and millions of fish. Who's right? I don't know. They're both working, right? But I would say if I didn't have the money, I would side with the person that's not having to buy the crazy expensive filtration. And that's what I would say to you guys. Wait till you have a need. You've got a cycled aquarium. You're adding fish. And then 9 months down the road, you're going, oh my gosh, I'm seeing ammonia levels. Then that's probably a sign that if you didn't disrupt the bacteria, you probably need some more. I never meet people that run into that scenario. Not that they don't exist. I'm just saying, out of the next 500 people I talk to, probably none of them have gotten to that point. Like, well, I got worried, I added some more, or I disrupted, or I did a thing like that. So hopefully you guys, think about it. That's the critical thing here, is do some thinking about, have I run into a limitation? Do I need more? I know that most often I'm doing it out of, okay, I just want to be extra safe here. Right now I have an extra filter on here because I just don't want to watch these things die in front of the internet. If I didn't have this in front of the internet, I wouldn't have that filter because it doesn't need it. I mean, I don't think I need most of what I have, but that's a story for another day. So good luck, and research and test.
Thank you, Cory. That's one person that I respect, whose information I believe. He doesn't talk just to talk. He's not all about subs. The man actually is here to help us and help us in the hobby. I'm going to be having more individuals chime in on this subject, so be sure to stay tuned. And I appreciate you tuning in. Let's keep the conversation going on this subject. Who knows? Maybe we'll actually change the hobby to some degree with this kind of information. All right? Thank you so much for tuning in. You are appreciated as always. Hope to see you on Saturday at the Cichlids and Coffee live stream. Just for a twist, I'm going to be up in San Francisco visiting my son, and so I'm going to go ahead and do the live stream from there. So it should be interesting. You're not going to have an aquarium backdrop, but you're going to have a pretty interesting backdrop, I'm sure. All right, thank you so much, folks. You are appreciated. Hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye.